The last functioning satellite array in Seoul pointed toward the stars. Dr. Han Jiwoo adjusted her glasses and looked at the screen one more time. The message was ready to send. Earth's final cry for help would soon travel across the vast darkness of space. "Are you sure about this?" Colonel Park Do-hyun asked. His face showed worry, but also a hint of hope. He was a tall man with a strong build. Years of military service had made him tough, but the past months had worn him down. Jiwoo nodded. "We have no other choice. The plague has spread to every continent. Our best doctors have failed to find a cure. Our resources are running out." She looked at the death count on another screen. The numbers kept rising every hour. "What makes you think anyone will hear us? Or help us if they do?" Do-hyun asked. He had always been practical, skeptical. It was his job to consider all outcomes, especially the bad ones. Jiwoo touched the screen, bringing up the signal pattern she had designed. This message uses universal mathematical principles. Any advanced civilization should recognize it as artificial. It shows we are intelligent. It shows we are in danger. The small team around them watched in silence. They were the last active members of what had once been a global space communication project. Now they were humanity's final hope. Among them were Kim Ara, a medical officer with tired eyes, and Lee Junho, a communications specialist who had lost his family to the plague. "The world governments have approved this?" Yunyo asked. "What's left of them?" Do-hyun replied. "Most countries can barely maintain basic services. The few leaders still alive have given us permission to try anything." Jiwoo looked around at their faces. They all showed the same mix of desperation and faint hope. "If we do nothing, humanity will be extinct within months. The plague is too aggressive, too perfect, almost as if it were designed," Ara finished. She had been saying this for weeks, but few listened to her theory that the disease was not natural. "Let's not go there again," Do-hyun said firmly. "We focus on solutions, not conspiracies." Jiwoo raised her hand to stop the argument. "It doesn't matter now. What matters is that we need help beyond our own abilities." She pressed her palm against the final authorization scanner. "The signal is ready." The computer asked for final confirmation. Jiwoo looked at Do-hyun, who gave a small nod. She pressed send. The room fell quiet as they watched the signal strength indicators. The powerful array sent their message outward, beyond the solar system. Now all they could do was wait and hope. "How long until we might get a response?" Do-hyun asked. "If someone is listening and close by, days. If they're farther away, weeks or months." Jiwoo's voice dropped. "We may not last that long." They set up a monitoring schedule. Someone would always be watching for a response. Days passed with no reply. The plague continued to spread. More cities fell into chaos. The team took turns sleeping in the facility, unwilling to leave in case a message came through. 2 weeks later, as Jiwoo dozed at her station during the night shift, a soft beep woke her. The screen was flashing. Something was coming in. "Everyone," she shouted, instantly alert. "We're receiving a response." The team rushed in from various parts of the facility. Do-hyun arrived last, his hair messy from sleep. They gathered around Jiwoo's station. Is it really from out there?" Ara asked, her eyes wide. Jiwoo's fingers flew across the keyboard. "The signal is coming from beyond our solar system. It's structured, complex." She looked up, her face pale with shock. "It's them. It's really them. We're not alone." The message was strange, unlike anything they had expected. It wasn't in any human language, of course, but it didn't match the mathematical response pattern Jiwoo had anticipated either. "I need to run this through the translation matrix," she said. "It might take time." For hours they watched as the computer analyzed the alien message, comparing patterns and looking for meaning. Finally, the translation program offered its best guess. "We hear your call for companionship. We are coming." Do-hyun read the words aloud, his brow furrowed. "Companionship? That's not what we asked for. We sent a distress signal, an SOS." Jiwoo checked the original message she had sent, then the alien reply again. "The signal must have been misinterpreted somehow. They think we're looking for friends. Can we send a correction?" Unyo asked. "Explain that we need medical help, not social calls." Jiwoo tried to send a new message, clarifying their desperate situation, but there was no way to know if the aliens received it. Their original response had ended with, "Communication will resume upon our arrival." Arrival? "They're coming here?" Ara's voice was barely above a whisper. Jiwoo nodded slowly. "It seems so. But we have no idea when or what they'll expect when they get here, or what they look like, or if they're friendly. Do-hyun added grimly. We need to inform what's left of the world governments immediately. The news spread quickly. In cities where communication still worked, people reacted with a mix of fear, hope, and disbelief. Some saw it as salvation, others as a new threat. Religious groups declared it the end times. Scientists debated what kind of beings might answer such a call. 1 month passed. The plague continued to claim lives, though at a slightly slower pace. Some people seemed naturally resistant, giving humanity a small chance of survival even without alien help. Then one morning, the sky changed. It started with strange lights above major cities worldwide. Then came the shadows, enormous shapes blocking the sun. Briefly as they moved into Earth's orbit, Jiwoo and her team watched through the observatory telescope as 3 massive ships positioned themselves around the planet. They were angular and dark, covered in what looked like armor plating and strange protrusions. These weren't the smooth, elegant ships of human science fiction. They looked functional, battle-worn, and immensely powerful. They're hailing us, Junho said suddenly, his station beeping with an incoming transmission. They're sending a message on all frequencies. The main screen in the facility lit up and everyone gasped. The alien that appeared was nothing like the gentle, slender beings many had imagined. It was massive, with a hard exoskeleton covering most of its body. Multiple limbs moved with precise, powerful motions. Its head featured several eyes and what might have been breathing apparatus for an atmosphere very different from Earth's. Greetings. Earth beings, the alien spoke, the words translated by a system on their end. I am Commander Se of the Ryun Collective. We received your call for companionship and have traveled to meet you. The facility was silent as everyone stared at the screen. It was Do-hyun who finally stepped forward to respond. We welcome you to Earth, Commander Se. I am Colonel Park Do-hyun. With me is Dr. Han Jiwoo, who sent the message you received. He gestured to Jiwoo, who moved forward on shaky legs. Commander, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. There may have been a misunderstanding. Our message was a distress signal. Our planet is suffering from a deadly plague. We were asking for help for medical assistance. The alien was still for a moment, then made a rumbling sound that their translation system didn't process. When Commander Se spoke again, there was a new tone to the translated voice. You sent a companionship signal from a dying world. The alien's multiple eyes seemed to focus more intently on them. Truly, you are Deathworlders like us. Deathworlders, Jiwoo repeated, confused. Yes, the commander replied. Species that evolve on harsh, dangerous planets. We recognized elements in your signal that only another Deathworld species would use. That is why it called to us specifically. Do-hyun and Jiwoo exchanged glances. Neither had expected this. We did not know there was such a classification, Do-hyun said carefully. Many species in the galaxy evolve on gentle worlds. They are soft, both in body and spirit, Commander Se explained. But some, like the Ryun and apparently humans, come from worlds that try to kill them every day. It makes us stronger, more resilient, more interesting. The alien's mouth parts moved in what might have been their version of a smile. We came expecting to find kindred spirits seeking alliance. Instead, we find kindred spirits in need. This is acceptable. Better, even. Helping you now will create a stronger bond between our peoples. Relief washed over Jiwoo's face. Then you can help us. You have medicine that might cure our plague. We will need to study your disease first, Commander Se replied. But the Ryun have faced many plagues. Our bodies are built to survive what would kill others. We will help you, Earth humans. And then perhaps we can discuss the companionship you unknowingly offered. As the first Ryun shuttles descended toward Earth, Jiwoo watched the screens with new hope. Her desperate plan had worked, though not in the way she had intended. They had called for help and found something they never expected, a species that understood survival against all odds. Earth's distress signal had been misunderstood, but perhaps it was the perfect mistake. The Deathworlders had arrived, and humanity would never be the same. The Ryun shuttles landed in open areas outside major cities around the world. In Seoul, the largest ship touched down in what had once been an Olympic stadium, now converted to a medical center. People gathered at safe distances, their faces showing both fear and hope. Dr. Han Jiwoo stood with Colonel Park Do-hyun and a small, welcoming team. Dr. Kang Min-ji, one of Earth's few remaining diplomatic representatives, had joined them. She was a calm woman with a practical mind, chosen because of her background in both international relations and biology. "Remember," Minji said quietly, "we know nothing about their culture or customs. Watch for cues and try not to make assumptions." The shuttle door opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. A ramp extended to the ground. The humans held their breath as the first Ryun stepped out. Commander Se was even more imposing in person. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, the alien's body was covered in natural armor plates that shifted smoothly as it moved. 4 powerful arms extended from a broad torso, while 2 thick legs supported the massive frame. What they had thought was breathing equipment on the video feed was actually part of the Ryun's face, specialized filters for processing Earth's atmosphere. Behind Se came 4 more Ryun, each carrying equipment cases. They moved with surprising grace despite their size and bulk. "Earth humans," Commander Se's voice came through a translation device worn at what might be considered the alien's neck. "We meet in person at last." Minji stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Commander Se, on behalf of Earth, we welcome you and thank you for answering our call, even if there was a misunderstanding about its nature." The commander made a rumbling sound that the translator didn't convert. "The gravity here is pleasant. Lighter than our home. The air is—" There was a pause as the translator searched for the right word. "Sweet. Rich in oxygen. Our planet has approximately 21% oxygen in the atmosphere," Jiwoo offered. "Is that different from your world?" "We breathe a mix with only 12% oxygen but much higher pressure," one of the other Ryun replied. This one had markings that suggested a different role or rank. "I am Sub-Commander Tak, medical specialist. Your atmosphere is like breathing pure stimulants to us." Do-hyun frowned slightly. "Will that cause you problems?" Tak made a gesture with her upper right arm that seemed dismissive. "Our filters adjust. We simply feel energized. It is not unpleasant." A small crowd had gathered outside the stadium, people pressing against the security barriers to see the aliens. Despite the plague and the fear, curiosity won out. Some held signs welcoming the visitors. Others kept their distance with obvious suspicion. "Your people do not seem afraid," Commander Se observed, multiple eyes scanning the crowd. "Some are," Minji admitted, "but we have little left to lose. The plague has taken so many. Those who survive have either natural immunity or nothing left to fear." "Show us this plague," Sub-Commander Tak said, her tone becoming businesslike. "We must examine it to determine how to help." They moved into the stadium-turned-hospital. Inside, rows of beds filled the open space where athletes had once competed. The sick lay in various stages of the disease. Medical staff in protective gear moved among them, doing what little they could to ease suffering. The Ryun walked through the facility without protective equipment. When Minji expressed concern about their safety, Sub-Commander Tak made that rumbling sound again. "Deathworlders," she said simply. "Our immune systems are robust. We will study the pathogen, not become its victims." The Ryun medical team set up their equipment and began taking samples. They worked efficiently, their forearms allowing them to multitask in ways humans couldn't match. Jiwoo watched in fascination as they analyzed blood, tissue, and air samples with technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. After several hours, Sub-Commander Tak called the human team together. "This plague is not natural to your world," she stated bluntly. Do-hyun's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" "The pathogen has markers of artificial design. It was engineered, not evolved." Tak displayed a holographic model of the virus that floated in the air between them. "See these protein structures? They're too perfect, too efficient. Nature is messier." Kim Ara, who had joined them at the hospital, stepped forward with wide eyes. "I said this months ago. No one believed me." "We believe you now," Tak said. "More importantly, we recognize the design methodology." "This is Vol work. Full?" Jiwoo asked. Commander Se's body language changed, becoming more rigid. The Vol are a non-Deathworld species, physically fragile but intellectually advanced. They specialize in biological sciences. Their homeworld has few natural diseases, so their immune systems are weak. They compensate with technology. "Are you saying another alien species attacked us?" Do-hyun's hand moved instinctively to where his weapon would normally be holstered. Tak made a negative gesture. "Not intentionally, we think. The Vol explore by sending automated probes to collect biological samples. They are careless sometimes. One of their collection vessels must have visited your world, released this pathogen accidentally, and departed without realizing the damage it would cause. They killed billions of us by accident? Minji's diplomatic composure cracked slightly. The Vol would not expect any species to survive such exposure, Commander Say explained. Most non-Deathworld species would have been completely eradicated within days. The fact that any human survived shows your Deathworld heritage. This revelation stunned the humans into silence. Their world had been devastated not by a natural disaster, but by the careless actions of an alien species they had never even met. Can you cure it? Jiwoo finally asked, her voice small. Sub-Commander Tak manipulated the holographic model, zooming in on different structures. Yes, we have encountered Vol biologics before. They are advanced but predictable in their approach. We can synthesize a counteragent. How long? Do-hyun pressed. We began production when we first analyzed it, Tak replied matter-of-factly. The first treatments will be ready within hours. The humans exchanged shocked glances. What had seemed an insurmountable problem to Earth's best scientists was being solved in a single day by the Ryun. As promised, the treatment began that evening. The Ryun medical team administered it first to the most critically ill patients. The effect was remarkable. Within hours, fever reduced. Within a day, many could sit up and eat solid food again. News spread quickly. People lined up outside treatment centers as the Ryun distributed their cure to medical facilities worldwide. The alien visitors became a common sight in cities, their massive forms moving among humans who now looked at them with gratitude instead of fear. 1 week after their arrival, Commander Say requested a meeting with Earth's remaining leadership council. They gathered in what had once been the United Nations headquarters in New York, now operating at minimal capacity. The cure is working, Say announced. The plague will be eliminated within a month, based on current distribution rates. The human representatives applauded, some with tears in their eyes. Survival, which had seemed impossible weeks ago, was now certain. How can we ever repay you? Asked the council chairperson, an older woman who had lost her entire family to the plague. Commander Say made a gesture that the humans were learning meant consideration. We came because we thought you sought companionship, alliance between similar species. Does that offer still stand even though it was unintentional? The council members looked at each other. Minji, who had been appointed as humanity's official representative to the Ryun, spoke carefully. What would such an alliance entail? Exchange, Say replied. Knowledge, resources, culture. Mutual protection. The galaxy is vast and not always welcoming to Deathworlders like us. Together we would be stronger. Would this involve sharing technology? One council member asked. Of course. Including faster-than-light travel. Your world is isolated now. It need not remain so. The council chamber buzzed with excited whispers. Space travel beyond their solar system had been theoretical for humans. Now it was being offered freely. And what would you gain from this alliance? Do-hyun asked, ever practical. Commander Say turned all eyes toward him. Another Deathworld species with unique perspectives. Your world has challenges different from ours. You have adapted in ways we have not. Together we fill gaps in each other's development. The alien paused. Also, we find humans interesting. Your art, music, literature, these are rich in ways Ryan culture is not. Minji smiled slightly. You want our creativity? Yes. Deathworld species often focus on survival at the expense of cultural development. The Ryun are strong, technologically advanced, but, Say seemed to search for the right word, rigid in our thinking sometimes. Humans show remarkable flexibility of mind. The council took little time to agree. Earth had nothing to lose and everything to gain. Formal alliance documents were drawn up and signed. The Deathworlder Pact, they called it. As news of the alliance spread, more Ryun ships arrived. They brought not just medical supplies, but food, technology, and knowledge. Earth began to heal, not just from the plague, but from decades of environmental damage and resource depletion. The Ryun established a permanent embassy in Seoul, near where the first signal had been sent. Commander Say was appointed as the official ambassador to Earth. Dr. Han Ji-woo found herself working closely with Sub-Commander Tak, learning about Ryun medical science while teaching the alien. 2 months after the Ryun arrived, Earth was changing fast. The plague was nearly gone, cities were rebuilding, and humans were learning what it meant to be part of a larger galactic community. Dr. Choi Hyuk led the first human delegation to board the Ryun mothership. As Earth's leading expert in comparative biology, he had been chosen to learn more about Deathworld species and their place in the galaxy. With him were 5 specialists from different fields: engineering, physics, anthropology, linguistics, and military strategy. Remember to use the breathing aids they provided, Hyuk reminded his team as they prepared to board the shuttle. The Ryan ship maintains an atmosphere closer to their homeworld. The gravity will also be stronger. The team nodded nervously. Though humans had grown used to seeing Ryun on Earth, visiting their ship was different. It meant experiencing an environment designed for the aliens, not for humans. The shuttle ride was short but intense. As they docked with the massive Ryun vessel, Hyuk felt his heart racing with both excitement and anxiety. The door opened and immediately he felt the difference. The air was thicker, heavier, and the gravity pulled at his body like an invisible weight. Sub-Commander Tak greeted them at the airlock. She had become the primary liaison between humans and Ryun, working closely with Earth scientists to share knowledge. "Welcome aboard the Steadfast," she said through her translator. "You are the first humans to visit a Ryun vessel. This is historic." Hyuk tried to bow in greeting but found the increased gravity made even this simple movement difficult. "Thank you for this opportunity, Sub-Commander." Tak observed their struggle with the gravity. "You adapt quickly. Most species would collapse immediately in these conditions. You stand and function. Impressive for such soft beings." The human team moved slowly through the corridors of the ship. Everything was designed for beings larger and stronger than humans. Doorways towered above them. Seating platforms were too high and deep for comfortable human use. The lighting was dimmer, adjusted for Ryun eyes that were more sensitive than human ones. "This is our medical research facility," Tak explained as they entered a large chamber filled with equipment. "Here we developed the cure for your plague." Hyuk moved toward one of the analysis stations, fascinated by the technology. "May I?" he asked, gesturing toward the controls. "Please. It is configured for human users now." As Hyuk examined the equipment, he realized it was far more advanced than anything on Earth, yet somehow familiar in its basic principles. The Ryun had developed along similar scientific lines but had taken those developments much further. "How many other Deathworld species exist in the galaxy?" he asked as he worked. Tak made a gesture that indicated counting. 17 that have achieved space travel. Perhaps hundreds more still planet-bound. Deathworlders are rare. Most life evolves on gentler planets. And the Vol? The ones who accidentally released the plague on Earth? Tak's posture stiffened slightly. The Vol are a non-Deathworld species. They evolved on a world with few predators. Stable climate, minimal geological activity. Their bodies are fragile, but their minds are sharp. They compensate for physical weakness with technological and biological mastery. Have you informed them about what happened on Earth? Yes, the Galactic Council has been notified. The Vol claim it was an automated sampling probe that malfunctioned. They express regret, but no real understanding of the devastation they caused. Tak's voice carried an edge that the translator conveyed perfectly. Non-Deathworlders often lack appreciation for survival challenges. The tour continued through other sections of the ship. In the engineering bay, the human specialists marveled at the faster-than-light drive system. In the cultural center, they saw artifacts from the Ryun homeworld and other planets they had visited. By the time they reached the observation deck, the humans were exhausted from fighting the heavy gravity. Hyuk's muscles ached and breathing took conscious effort despite their aids. Yet none complained. They understood this was a test as much as a tour, a chance to prove human resilience. Tak led them to viewing platforms where they could see Earth through massive, transparent panels. From this distance, their home planet looked peaceful, beautiful, with no sign of the devastation it had suffered. Your world is classified as a Class 4 Death World, Tak explained. The Ryun homeworld is Class 5, slightly more hostile. The scale goes from 1 to 6, with 6 being barely habitable even for Deathworlders. What makes a world a Death World? Asked the anthropologist Dr. Nam Sung-ho, who had been quietly observing Ryun's social interactions throughout the tour. Multiple factors: environmental instability, geological activity, climate extremes, aggressive fauna, pathogenic load, radiation levels, atmospheric challenges. Tak brought up a holographic display showing different planetary classifications. Earth qualifies because of your varied environments forcing adaptability. your planet's significant pathogenic challenges, and your geological instability. Your species evolved under constant threat. It made you tough, creative, adaptable. And the non-Deathworld species? What are they like? Hayek asked, physically weaker, often specialized for specific environmental niches, less adaptable to change but often highly advanced in specific areas. Tak brought up images of various alien species. The humans were surprised at the diversity. Some looked almost plant-like, others resembled insects or aquatic creatures. All appeared more delicate than the heavily armored Ryun. These species formed the majority of the Galactic Council, Tak continued. They viewed Deathworlders with a mixture of fear and respect. We are seen as potentially dangerous but useful for certain tasks. Like cleaning up their mistakes, muttered Colonel Yang Minho, the military strategist. Tak made the rumbling sound that humans now recognized as laughter. Precisely. When problems arise that require physical resilience or comfort with violence, Deathworlders are suddenly valued. When peace returns, we are politely encouraged to keep to ourselves. As the tour continued, the humans learned more about their place in galactic society. Deathworlder species were often employed as security forces, explorers of dangerous worlds, or frontline responders to crises. Their physical resilience and comfort with risk made them ideal for jobs other species avoided. It sounds like we're seen as the dangerous labor class of the galaxy, Hyuk observed. That is not inaccurate, Tak admitted, though the Ryun have worked for generations to change this perception. We have seats on the Galactic Council now, though our influence is limited. By the end of the tour, the human delegation was physically exhausted but mentally stimulated. They had seen technology that promised to advance Earth sciences by centuries and learned about a complex galactic political structure they would soon join. As they prepared to return to Earth, Sub-Commander Tak presented each human with a small device. A neural translator, she explained, more efficient than our verbal systems. It links directly to your language centers. With these, you can understand any species in the galactic registry without delay or misinterpretation. Hyuk examined the small disk with wonder. Thank you. This will be invaluable as we establish more contacts. There is one more thing you should know, Tak said, her tone becoming serious. Your signal and our response have caused concern among certain council members. The alliance between humans and Ryun is seen as potentially disruptive to established power structures. Why? Asked Minho, instantly alert to potential threats. Because humans and Ryun complement each other well. Your creativity and our technological advancement. Your adaptability and our strength. Together we could become a significant force within the Deathworlder community. Hyuk frowned. Is that a problem? For those who prefer Deathworlders remain divided and manageable, yes. Tak's upper arms made a gesture of dismissal. But this is politics. For now, focus on learning and rebuilding. The Ryun will handle the political aspects. The human team returned to Earth with data cores full of new knowledge and minds full of new perspectives. They understood now that humanity's distress signal had done more than summon help. It had connected them to allies who understood survival on a fundamental level. Back on Earth, the Ryun influence was growing. Their technology helped clean polluted areas and restore damaged ecosystems. Their medical knowledge saved lives beyond just curing the plague, and their presence reminded humans that they were not alone in the universe. In what had once been the devastated center of Seoul, a new building rose, the Galactic Embassy. It was designed to accommodate both humans and various alien visitors, with sections adapted for different atmospheric needs and gravity preferences. The Ryun occupied the largest section, but spaces were reserved for future delegations from other worlds. Dr. Han Jiwoo found herself appointed as the head of the new Department of Interspecies Communications. Her office in the embassy was filled with translation equipment and cultural artifacts from the Ryun homeworld. You look tired, Do-hyun observed when he visited her office one evening. The colonel had been tasked with forming Earth's first space defense force, working closely with Ryun military advisors. I've been analyzing the original distress signal, Jiwoo replied, gesturing to displays showing waveform patterns. Tak was right. There were elements in it I didn't consciously include, emotional harmonics that appealed specifically to Deathworld psychology. 1 year after the Ryun ships first appeared in Earth's skies, humanity had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The plague was gone. Cities were rebuilt, often with Ryun technology that made them stronger and more efficient than before. and Earth was preparing to take its place among the stars. Captain Omina stood on the bridge of the ESS Resilience, Earth's first faster-than-light vessel. Built with Ryun assistance but crewed primarily by humans, it represented humanity's official entry into interstellar travel. As the ship's captain, Mina felt the weight of history on her shoulders. "Final systems check complete, Captain," reported her human first officer, Commander Kim Tae-woo. "All stations report ready for departure." Mina nodded, her expression calm despite her racing heart. "Thank you, Commander." "And our Ryun advisor?" "Sub-Commander Tak is in engineering, ensuring the FTL drive is properly calibrated." Tak had volunteered to join this maiden voyage as both technical advisor and diplomatic liaison. The Resilience's mission was to visit the Ryun homeworld, formalizing the alliance between the two species with a ceremonial visit. It would be the first time humans had traveled to another star system. Mina touched the communication panel on her command chair. "Sub-Commander Tak, this is the bridge. Are we cleared for FTL activation?" The Ryun's voice came through clearly. "Drive is optimal, Captain. You may proceed whenever ready. Thank you." Mina looked around at her bridge crew, all human except for a Ryun navigator stationed at the helm. They had trained for months for this moment. "Communications, please open a channel to Earth Control." The main screen lit up, showing the Earth Space Agency's control center. Dr. Han Ji-woo's face appeared. She had been appointed to lead the agency, given her role in sending the original signal that brought the Ryun to Earth. "Control to Resilience, we read you clearly," Ji-woo said, unable to hide her excitement. "All systems show green from our end." "Resilience to Control, we are prepared for FTL departure," Mina reported formally. "Request final clearance," Ji-woo smiled. "Clearance granted, Captain O. Make history for us out there." Mina nodded and closed the channel. She took a deep breath, looking at the main view screen showing Earth growing smaller as they moved to a safe distance for FTL activation. "Helm, set course for the Ryun homeworld, Karash. Engage FTL drive at your discretion." The Ryun navigator acknowledged the order. The ship hummed as power flowed to the FTL system. There was a moment of strange distortion, a feeling of being stretched and compressed simultaneously, and then the stars on the view screen blurred and shifted. They were traveling faster than light, crossing the vast gulf between stars in what would be a journey of days rather than centuries. In engineering, Sub-Commander Tak watched the human technicians monitor the drive systems. Unlike many Ryun who maintained a professional distance from humans, Tak had developed genuine respect for these Deathworlders. They learned quickly, adapted to new technologies with ease, and showed a creativity the more methodical Ryun sometimes lacked. The human chief engineer, Park Ji-ho, approached her. "The drive is performing exactly as predicted, Sub-Commander. No anomalies detected." "As expected," Tak replied. "Your species may be new to FTL travel, but you understand the principles well. Thanks to your teaching." Ji-ho hesitated, then asked the question many humans still wondered about. "Sub-Commander, why did the Ryun share this technology so freely?" The Galactic Council seemed concerned about it. Tak considered her answer carefully. "The Council prefers controlled technology dissemination. Centuries-long integration periods where new species are gradually introduced to advanced systems. The Ryun believe this is unnecessarily restrictive, especially for Deathworlders. Yes, Deathworld species evolve quickly, adapt rapidly. Your minds are already prepared to handle these concepts. Artificial delays serve only to maintain existing power structures." Tak's forearms made a gesture of dismissal. "Besides, the galaxy is dangerous. Traveling between stars without proper defenses is foolish. We would not send allies into space unprepared." The journey to Karash took 5 days at their current speed. During that time, the human crew adjusted to the realities of interstellar travel. They studied Ryun language and customs, preparing for their arrival. Mina spent hours with Sub-Commander Tak, learning the complex protocols they would need to follow on the Ryun homeworld. "Your world has higher gravity and a different atmospheric composition," Tak explained during one such session. "Humans will need exosuits for surface excursions. Even with them, movement will be difficult. Will that be seen as weakness?" Mina asked directly. Tak made the rumbling sound of Ryun laughter. "No, Captain. The fact that humans can survive on our world at all, even with assistance, will be seen as evidence of your Deathworlder status. Most council species cannot set foot on Karash under any circumstances. When they finally arrived, the Resilience was met by a formation of Ryun vessels, an honor guard escorting them to the proper orbit. The main view screen showed their first view of Karash, a world with vast oceans of dark green liquid and landmasses of deep red and brown. "It's beautiful," Mina said softly. "And deadly," Tak added. "The oceans are highly acidic. The red coloration of land is due to high iron oxide content. The atmosphere contains elements toxic to most species. But life still found a way," Commander Kim observed. "Life always does on Deathworlds," Tak replied. "It simply becomes harder to kill." The official reception took place on a Ryun space station orbiting the planet. This allowed the human delegation to function without the crushing gravity and toxic atmosphere of Karash itself. Even so, the station maintained higher gravity than Earth standard, and the humans found themselves moving carefully, deliberately. The Ryun High Command had gathered to welcome them. Massive armored beings with ceremonial markings stood in formation as Mina led her team into the reception chamber. At their head was High Commander Voss, leader of the Ryun military and effective ruler of their society. "Captain Omina of Earth," Voss greeted her, voice rumbling through a translator. "Your journey honors us," Mina bowed as she had been instructed. "High Commander, Earth thanks you for your welcome. We come to formalize the bond between our worlds and peoples." The ceremonial aspects proceeded as planned. Documents were exchanged, formal speeches given. The human delegation presented gifts from Earth, works of art, music recordings, literature databases. The Ryun in turn presented technical schematics for more advanced ships and weapon systems. "These are defensive technologies," High Commander Voss explained. "The galaxy is not always welcoming to Deathworlders. You should be prepared." After the formal reception, a smaller meeting was arranged between key representatives. Mina found herself seated across from High Commander Voss, with Sub-Commander Tak serving as cultural interpreter. "Your world has recovered well from the Vol pathogen," Voss observed. "Thanks to Ryun assistance," Mina acknowledged. "Our people will never forget that you answered when no one else did." Voss's multiple eyes focused on her intensely. "The Galactic Council has concerns about our alliance. They fear what humans and Ryun might accomplish together, so we've noticed. Is their fear justified?" The High Commander made a gesture that Tak had taught her meant something between amusement and contemplation. "Perhaps. The Ryun have strength, technology, experience in space. Humans have adaptability, creativity, and a unique perspective. Together we complement each other in ways that could shift galactic power dynamics. Is that what the Ryun want? Power? We want respect," Voss replied simply. "For too long, Deathworlders have been treated as useful but dangerous curiosities, valued for our strength when needed, then politely encouraged to keep to ourselves afterward." Mina nodded slowly. "I understand that feeling. In just 1 year of galactic integration, we've seen similar attitudes toward humans, which is why our alliance matters." Voss leaned forward. "Separately, Deathworld species can be marginalized. Together, we become too significant to dismiss." The meeting continued with discussions of joint defense strategies, trade agreements, and cultural exchange programs. By the time it concluded, Mina understood that the Ryun-Human alliance was more than diplomatic courtesy. It was a deliberate repositioning of Deathworld species in galactic politics. When the Resilience departed Karash a week later, it carried formal alliance documents and new technological specifications. But more importantly, it carried a deeper understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy. In the months that followed, more human ships were built. Earth established its first off-world colonies on the Moon and Mars, stepping stones to deeper space. Ryun advisors helped at every stage, while human creativity found new applications for Ryun technology. The Galactic Council watched this rapid development with concern. Some member species advocated for restrictions on human expansion, citing protocols and regulations. Others recognized the futility of trying to slow a Deathworld species once it gained momentum. Dr. Han Jiwoo continued her research into the original signal that had connected humans and Ryun. Working with linguists from both species, she made a remarkable discovery. "The harmonics in our distress call," she explained to a joint human-Ryun research team, contained patterns that mirrored certain aspects of Ryun communication. Not in language but in emotional resonance. 6 months after the Ryun arrival, Earth was ready to formally join the galactic community. The first official diplomatic meeting with the Galactic Council had been arranged, and Earth needed representatives who could speak for humanity. Yoon Jinwoo had not expected to become Earth's ambassador. Before the plague, he had been a professor of international relations with a side interest in xenobiology, the theoretical study of alien life. Now he found himself preparing to address beings from dozens of worlds. "I still don't understand why they chose me," Jinwoo said, as he studied the files the Ryun had provided about various council species. He sat in his office at the new Galactic Embassy in Seoul, surrounded by holographic displays showing alien physiologies and cultural notes. Bae Yona, his deputy and former student, smiled. "Because you wrote that paper on theoretical alien psychology 10 years ago, the one everyone laughed at. That was speculative fiction at best," Jinwoo protested. "And yet you predicted many aspects of Deathworlder psychology correctly," Yona replied. "The Ryun were impressed when they found your work in Earth's academic archives." Jinwoo shook his head in disbelief but returned to his studies. The Galactic Council included representatives from over 30 spacefaring species, with non-Deathworlders holding the majority of powerful positions. The Ryun had warned that the meeting would not be entirely friendly. The day of the council meeting arrived. Rather than traveling to some distant neutral location, the council had agreed to convene via holographic projection. The main chamber of the Galactic Embassy was converted into a transmission room. With technology provided by the Ryun, Jinwoo wore formal diplomatic attire, a modernized version of traditional Korean formal wear, chosen to represent Earth's cultural heritage. Beside him stood Commander Se, representing the Ryun, and Colonel Park Do-hyun, there to address security concerns. "Remember," Commander Se advised as they waited for the transmission to begin, "many council members will be disturbed simply by seeing humans and Ryun standing together. Our alliance challenges their assumptions about how Deathworlders should behave." "Which is how exactly?" Do-hyun asked. "Separately. Competitively, not cooperatively." Se's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "Unity between Deathworld species suggests a potential power shift they would rather avoid." The holographic projectors activated, and suddenly the room seemed filled with aliens of various forms. Some appeared almost human, but with subtle differences in proportion or coloration. Others were radically different, crystalline structures that pulsed with light, floating gas-filled sacs with dangling tentacles, insectoid beings with compound eyes and clicking mandibles. At the center of the projection was a being that resembled a tall, slender humanoid with pale, almost translucent skin, through which complex circulatory systems were visible. This was the Council Arbiter, a Vol representative named High Chancellor Zell. "This council session is now open," the Arbiter announced, voice melodic, yet somehow sterile. "We gather to address the matter of Earth's contact with the Ryun Collective and the resulting alliance formed without council oversight." Jinwoo noted the immediate framing of their alliance as problematic. Commander Se had warned him this would happen. Furthermore, the Arbiter continued, "We must address the Vol Biological Sciences Division's responsibility in the accidental release of research materials on Earth, resulting in significant population reduction." "Research materials?" Do-hyun muttered under his breath. "They call a plague that killed billions research materials?" The Arbiter gestured toward a group of Vol representatives. "The Vol Consortium wishes to address the Earth delegation directly." One of the Vol stepped forward. Like the Arbiter, it was tall and slender with skin so thin it seemed almost transparent. Its movements were graceful but cautious, as if conserving energy. "I am Chief Researcher Nev of the Biological Sciences Division," the Vol began. "Had we known Earth harbored intelligent life capable of surviving exposure to our research materials, we would have made proper contact according to Council protocols. We offer formal apologies and appropriate reparations as determined by Council standards." The clinical detachment in the Vol's voice made Jinwoo's stomach turn, but he maintained his diplomatic composure. "Earth acknowledges your statement, Chief Researcher. However, we must clarify that the research materials you mention was a bioweapon that killed over 4 billion humans." A murmur ran through the gathered representatives. The Arbiter made a calming gesture. "The term bioweapon is not accurate," Chief Researcher Nev responded. "The pathogen was a research sample for study of accelerated evolutionary processes. Its release was accidental via an automated probe malfunction. Before Jinwoo could respond, Commander Say stepped forward. Intentional or not, the result was the same. And now Earth is under Deathworlder protection. They called to us. We answered. The Council erupted in overlapping discussions. The Arbiter struggled to restore order, its slender limbs making urgent gestures. The Ryuun's unilateral intervention is precisely the issue at hand, the Arbiter finally stated when quiet returned. Council protocols require new species contact to be managed by appointed first contact teams, not individual member species acting alone. A new representative moved forward, a being with a crustacean-like exoskeleton but colorful plumage extending from joints and sensory clusters. The Zath Consortium agrees. The Ryuun had no authority to establish direct diplomatic relations with Earth without Council approval. Commander C's posture became more rigid, a sign of irritation Jinwoo had learned to recognize. Earth sent a distress signal. The Ryuun answered that distress. Council Protocol Paragraph 478B clearly states that emergency response is exempt from standard contact procedures. A distress signal, the Ryuun claim, was specifically directed at Deathworlders, the Arbiter countered. Yet Earth representatives maintain they intended a general call for help. This discrepancy requires investigation. Jinwoo realized they were trying to drive a wedge between humans and the Ryuun. He stepped forward. Whether our signal was specifically targeted or not is irrelevant. The fact remains that the Ryuun were the only ones who answered. They saved our species from extinction, caused by another council member's carelessness. Earth has chosen to ally with those who proved themselves allies in our time of need. This direct statement caused another stir among the council. Jinwoo noticed several representatives exchanging what might be their species' equivalent of concerned glances. A new representative moved forward, a being composed of what looked like intertwined plant matter forming a roughly humanoid shape. The Treaty Collective wishes to know Earth's intentions regarding council membership. Do you seek to join as an independent entity or as part of the Ryuun Collective? This was a pivotal question, one the Earth delegation had discussed extensively. Jinwoo took a breath before answering. Earth intends to apply for independent membership, but with acknowledged special relations with the Ryuun Collective. We wish to maintain our sovereignty while honoring the alliance that saved our species. The plant-like being's fronds rustled. And your technological development? The Ryuun have provided advanced technologies to Earth without council oversight or appropriate development staging. Commander Say interrupted. The technology shared was necessary for Earth's recovery from the Vol pathogen. Medical systems, environmental restoration, basic communications, nothing that violates treaty restrictions. Our scans indicate faster-than-light capabilities being developed on Earth, a crystalline being chimed in, its voice resonating like struck glass. Recovery assistance includes transportation technology, Say replied smoothly. Earth was isolated. For proper integration with galactic society, basic interstellar travel capability is necessary. The debate continued for hours. Each council faction seemed to have its own concerns about the human-Ryuun alliance. Some worried about military implications, others about cultural contamination, still others about resource competition or trade disruption. Throughout it all, Jinwoo maintained Earth's position. They were grateful to the Ryuun, committed to the alliance but interested in peaceful relations with all species. He could see that some council members were reassured by his moderate approach, while others remained skeptical. Finally, the Arbiter called for a recess to consider Earth's status. As the holographic projections faded, Jinwoo exhaled heavily. That was intense, Yona commented. Did it go well? I couldn't tell. It went as expected, Commander Say replied. The Council fears change, especially change that might shift power balances. But they also recognize that alienating Earth completely would only strengthen the Deathworlder coalition. Dohyun frowned. They seemed more concerned about your help than about the Vol killing billions of us. Of course, Say's voice carried resignation. Non-Deathworlders view population fluctuations differently. Their own worlds rarely face natural disasters or pandemics. They lack the cultural frameworks to truly comprehend mass death. That doesn't excuse it, Jinwoo said quietly. No, but it explains their focus on political implications rather than moral ones. Say turned all eyes toward him. You did well, Ambassador. You maintained dignity while asserting Earth's position. That will resonate with many council members, even those who publicly opposed us.